So, I've been making games for a long time. I've made some decent games, but let me be honest, I've made some stinkers too. Back in 2019, I released my first online multiplayer shooter game called Grunt 1914. Now, let me start off by saying this. Don't ever make an online multiplayer FPS shooter as your first game. Or second, or third, or fourth. Just don't do it. It's like making an MMO. Just don't do it. But let's leave that discussion for another day. As for this one, let's talk about why you will inevitably make some bad games or bad parts of games, and why there will definitely be bad feedback and how you as the developer should handle it. It doesn't matter who you are. Not everyone will love what you make, so how do you handle it? The reason I started talking about that game I made is that even though the game had mixed reviews, some of the reviews and comments I got on it were absolutely brutal. But I get it, and I actually agree, kind of, but I didn't always. At the beginning, it really hurt. So, let's talk about the separation of self from the project, about taking a step back and taking an objective look at the product, away from all attached human emotion, so to say. The thing is, when you make something, in this case a game, a bit of yourself goes into that thing you make. It becomes your baby. That sounds silly, but it's kind of true. You build it day by day, every day adding something new to it. A part of yourself. Growing it into a healthy young gameling. Your game becomes a part of you and a part of your life, and you cherish it. The thing is, that can make it really hard to see its flaws sometimes, especially if it's your first or second game. It can be really valuable to take a step back and take more of an objective look at the project sometimes. Having a more realistic outlook can really improve the way you see the game and the potential issues that it might contain. The truth is, our games will never be perfect and will always have issues. That's just the nature of design. Perfection is impossible. But that's only really because it's a shifting goalpost. Perfection is personal. What's perfect to me might be imperfect to you. And that leads me to the point. How do you not care about what other people think of your game? Well, what you need to do is realize that it's just an opinion and that people see things differently from you. Some people hate the Fallout series of games, and to me they are near perfection, bugs and all. And that's kind of the point. Even a somewhat broken product can be extremely enjoyable and valuable. And let's be honest, some of those Fallout games were really broken. When you get a comment on your game that is negative in nature, and you will, don't reply immediately. Take a step back and really think about what the comment is trying to say. Also, you need to realize that it is just a person on the end of a comment, a singular person, usually just some guy or girl. Should you really even get worked up about someone you'll never even meet? Probably not. Now look, some comments are just utter nonsense, and that's different. Those you can pretty much just ignore. But you'll know some of those when you see them. Some people will just use a review platform to spout nonsense, and that just is what it is. As for serious but critiquing comments, think about them before you reply. The truth is that you need to think about it from a customer's perspective, and to be open to how they might perceive the project and the fact that they spent money on it. And that's the key thing, really. When you buy something, you kind of buy the right to voice your opinion on that thing. I'm not saying people have a right to be assholes, but they do have a right to make their own feelings known. Money is the barrier. The moment I realized this, I started looking at the comments differently. I realized that because someone had purchased the product, they purchased the right to not like it. Think about it like this. If you yourself scrolls the Steam store and you end up buying some obscure indie game because the screenshots looked good, but you end up hating the game because it feels really bad. You then have the right to state as much. Now, the game still looks good, so it might sell well, but you have a right to dislike it and write a review stating the issues. Like I mentioned at the start, I myself had gotten some brutal comments before. Let's use my game as an example. These are some of the comments I've gotten on it. This is really bad. No wonder no one is playing. Terrible game, never update, DD, scam, scam. I think that was it. 0 players. I bought it less than $1 and messed around, winning every map once and won't play it again. Okay, those are some of the bad ones, and I'm singling them out, so it looks a little bit worse than it really is. But the reality is that some of these comments kind of hurt me. I spent 3 years making the game, and a lot of people didn't like it at all. It honestly took me some time to be okay with that. It sounds a bit silly, but I'm being honest. The thing is, it wasn't really all that good of a game, and I realize that now looking back, but in that moment, I didn't. When you make something and you put years of effort in and people dislike it, it can be pretty hard to accept. But with time, I grew and I realized that those comments and reviews are all just opinions. They didn't really need to have any impact on me at all. Now, when I read negative reviews, it has very little effect on me these days, but it did take me a while to get here. The point of the video is to try and prepare those of you that hasn't gone through this yet. Just know you will. No matter how good your game is, some people will hate it, but that's okay. In fact, it's necessary, but it might be hard, especially at first. Consider this. If you ignore a comment or review or write a good clean response without emotion, that review might become a positive down the line once that player plays updated versions of the game and sees that the issues have been fixed. Whereas if you write a negative response, there is very little chance that that player will ever rewrite and re-evaluate that review. They'll probably never play the game again. What I'm saying is this: take some time to recognize whether a review is serious or just a troll. If it is serious, take some time to remove emotion and read it from a withdrawn position. If you then decide the comment is worth taking seriously, take some steps to fix the issue, instead of responding negatively. In the long run, this mindset will be very valuable to you as a creator. So all of this is just to say that it can be very valuable to remove your emotion from your work at times. Your game will always be your baby. That doesn't change just because someone else dislikes it. The thing is, you don't have to get caught up in that. You can read the comment and just move on. Some of them will hurt, but there is no value in dwelling on that. And why do things that don't provide value? See what value you can extract from the comment or review and move on. You don't have to appeal to everybody. In fact, if someone makes a negative comment, review or video, try to be nice and humorous if the situation warrants it. This will show whoever is watching that you are just a person too, and all people will make mistakes. They'll probably be a lot more forgiving. So that's it for the video. Thanks for watching. Reach out and let me know what you think. Have you ever had to face harsh or negative comments? Were you able to get some value from it? Let me know. Comment, like, subscribe, all the YouTube things. And remember, not everyone will like your game, and that's okay. We only have to go sideways or upwards, never downwards. Until next time, keep growing.